Welcome to the Quagga and Zebra Mussel Infestation Prevention Grant Program Overview webinar. Today you're going to hear from myself, Kara Roderick, and I'm the supervisor of the program, as well as from my teammates. Today we're going to go over some acronyms, so let's cover those right now. DBW stands for Division of Boating and Waterways, and it's a division of California State Parks. QZ stands for Quagga and Zebra Mussels. CDFW stands for California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and that is our sister agency who helps us with this program. EDMM, Early Detection Mussel Monitoring, and OLGA, Online Grant Application System, and that is the system that you will upload your applications into. I wanted to remind everyone that also on our website, we have two other webinars available for you. One is the updates for this particular grant year, as well as an OLGA presentation. Those are available to watch at any time. So today in this presentation, we're going to cover the following items that you see here. The program authority and eligibility, Tier 1 versus Tier 2, non-reversible costs, early detection mussel monitoring, application requirements, proposal limitations, application review and evaluation, Tier 1 versus Tier 2 requirements, outreach, templates, and sample docs that we have available. And then lastly, we'll cover the OLGA application process. But again, there's a separate video also that goes into detail about OLGA. The following statutes and regulations govern this program. Harbors and Navigation Code, Section 675 and 676. California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Section 5200 and 5300 et al. And Fish and Game Code, Section 2302, as well as California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Section 672.1b. Now, the funding for this program comes exclusively from the mussel fee sticker sales, and that is why annual grant amounts can vary. So who is eligible for a QZ grant? Well, to be eligible, the reservoir needs to be quagga and zebra mussel free. The reservoir also needs to be open to the public for recreation, and the applicant needs to be an owner or manager of any aspect of the water in the reservoir. These entities are eligible for a QZ grant as long as they own or manage any aspect of the water in the reservoir. So our typical applicants are cities, state agencies, federal agencies, counties, and districts. Districts such as parks districts, irrigation districts, and water districts.
My name is Thomas Jensen, and I am representing CDFW. A California Department of Fish and Wildlife Prevention Plan and Acceptance Letter is required for Tier 2 projects. To obtain an approved prevention plan and acceptance letter, first develop a prevention plan using the CDFW template offered on our website and submit it to your regional scientist. The regional scientist and myself will review the plan to ensure it satisfies the regulatory requirements and provide comments on the plan, then return it to you for editing. Once you make the necessary changes and resubmit the prevention plan, we will send you a signed prevention plan acceptance letter. Applicants need to resubmit the prevention plan and acceptance letter from CDFW into OLGA, even if you were awarded a Tier 2 grant in the past. If you have an approved prevention plan and acceptance letter dated 2016 or later, CDFW does not need to review the prevention plan again. Prevention plans and acceptance letters do not expire. If you have a plan dated before 2016, it needs to be resubmitted to CDFW to go through the review process outlined in order to receive approval and an acceptance letter. Contact your CDFW regional scientist or myself with questions. There is a CDFW regional scientist contact sheet on our website.
Our QZ grant program is broken up into two tiers, Tier 1 and Tier 2 grants. Tier 1 grants are for planning and assessment projects. They're usually for preparation or improvement of a prevention plan, and we allow up to $200,000 max funding per project. No letter from CDFW is required for these projects. Tier 2 projects are for implementation projects. These do require CDFW accepted prevention plans to qualify. These are projects that implement the prevention program or plan at a reservoir, and we allow up to $400,000 max funding per project. Here you see images of previous Tier 2 projects. Please refer to the guidelines for a list of Tier 2 project examples, and even these guidelines don't necessarily have an exhaustive list. We are routinely asked about new items each year. These items include washdown lanes, installation of ramp entrance mechanical arms, cleaning and decontamination, staging and holding areas, staffing including overtime, post and board signage, early detection muscle monitoring and water chemistry monitoring, and outreach. Non-reimbursable costs and items. Please read the guidelines, section 4.2, for a list of non-reimbursable costs. This is not an all-inclusive list on this slide. Costs that could be considered non-reimbursable include costs incurred outside of the terms of the grant agreement, overhead costs, which would otherwise be ongoing monthly costs, personnel leave time, such as sick leave or vacation, and time spent enforcing the state muscle sticker by law enforcement, or any staff time spent enforcing a local muscle sticker. Additional non-reimbursable costs and items include payments of principal or interest of existing indebtedness, purchase of vehicles or watercraft, leases are okay, establishing a reserve fund, and incentives for outreach.
Early detection muscle monitoring, or EDMM, data is required for Tier 1 and Tier 2 projects. Projects must provide EDMM data from no earlier than the previous March in your application. If awarded, DBW follows CDFW's recommended minimum EDMM guidelines. See the link to the document on DBW's grant webpage. Also on DBW's website is an EDMM fact sheet. And lastly, you can discuss questions with your CDFW regional scientists. EDMM can be a covered grant expense, but you must ask for it during your application and DBW must approve of it. Applicants can upload their CDFW required annual report in support of their muscle monitoring data. And if you're using your own format, the data submitted must include details shown on the next slide. Monitoring required by DBW for Tier 2 projects may be more stringent than what you are currently doing or what is described in your approved prevention plan. CDFW regional scientists may already be conducting some monitoring at your water body. However, CDFW will not do your monitoring for you. You are responsible for completing the monitoring requirements at your water body, so consider adding that to your project if it is not a part of it already. You can contact your regional scientist to see if they have data or are collecting data on your water body. Note that DBW and CDFW annual reports are different reports for different agencies to satisfy separate requirements. DBW's annual report is a condition of the grant and the preparation of it is fundable if requested. The date it's due varies from grant cycle to grant cycle as it is specific to the grant term. It's due 1 year from when the grant starts. CDFW's annual report is set in regulation with the prevention plan. Annual reports are due to be submitted to CDFW by March 31st for the prior year. Templates for both of these annual reports are available on the DBW and CDFW websites.
This is a screenshot of our QZ grant webpage. It has all the resources you will need. Begin with the guidelines. Please refer to section 3.0, application requirements, in the guidelines for a full list of required documents. Proposal limitations. Only one project per application for either a Tier 1 or Tier 2 project. Applicants with more than one reservoir must carry out the same project at both reservoirs. For example, if the project is for a Tier 2 implementation project involving watercraft inspections, then this project needs to be the same at both reservoirs. A Tier 1 project can include more than 2 reservoirs per application. A Tier 2 project can include up to 2 reservoirs per application. Please note, you can submit more than one application. If so, you must prioritize in the online grant application system.
Application review and evaluation. Scoring and ranking. Please refer to the guidelines in section 6 for a more complete list of this discussion. However, we'll hit a few points, which is our team looks at the completeness of the application, the value of the project for infestation prevention and technical feasibility, that the project demonstrates good goals and tasks, and the project demonstrates the likelihood of completing the project in 2 years. We have an interagency team that helps us review the applications, which includes DBW staff and management, and as well as CDFW staff and management. And the full team looks at all of the completeness, eligibility, fundability, and adherence to the guidelines, and then scores and ranks the applications based on value, feasibility, best practices, that sort of thing. But now it is the Division of Boating and Waterways Aquatic Invasive Species Unit Chief that does make the final decisions. Higher priority projects. For either Tier 1 or Tier 2 projects, those that demonstrate the higher priority are the ones that have the higher risk of infestation based on the risk of mussel introduction, those that coordinate with multiple agencies and or entities on a regional scale, that the application demonstrates the unique economic, ecological, and recreational impact to urban and rural reservoirs, and that information is incorporated into the prevention plan. Higher priority projects part 2. For Tier 2 projects, higher priority for funding is also given for those that have the higher risk of mussel establishment based on water chemistry. Now, in the case of a reservoir with low calcium, their application would rank more competitively as long as its activities are for things like early detection mussel monitoring or water chemistry monitoring or outreach, those sorts of things, versus decontamination activities. Now, if the project involves significant construction or ground disturbance, then CEQA and NEPA, that process and that documentation has to already have been completed and uploaded into CEQA. And that's because DBW recognizes that that process can take some time. And since this is only a 2-year grant, we want to make sure the project can be completed within those 2 years.
Requirements for Tier 1 and Tier 2 projects, if awarded. Previously, we were talking about the requirements for submitting applications. Now we will discuss the requirements if the agency is awarded. These requirements are for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 grantees. As seen here on the screen, the line item and task budget and the scope of work must remain consistent. Quarterly progress reports, invoicing, annual reports, project summary, draft, final report, final project certification. Also, early detection mussel monitoring data reported for each quarterly progress report. Our team provides templates for the quarterly progress reports, annual reports, and final reports on our website. The data should be collected throughout the length of the grant term to demonstrate that there has been no infestation of QZ mussels throughout the length of the grant term. Post-funding signage within the first year of the grant and include DBW logo and funding statement on the agency's webpage. Regarding the signage, if you're a returning grantee and if your funding sign is still in good shape, you may not need a new sign. If you're unsure, follow up with the grant administrator. If applicable, provide copies of final CEQA NEPA documentation, provide data from ramp monitor contacts and inspection decon activities. Outreach is covered in the next slide.
Outreach requirements for Tier 2 projects, if awarded. These are the outreach requirements just for Tier 2 projects. Use a survey and survey plan to understand and demonstrate prior public knowledge of QZ infestation and prevention. Use the DBW survey template found online on our webpage. This is to educate voters about the role they play in prevention, such as clean, drain, and dry. On this slide, you will see examples of a flyer, front and back, and a pull-up banner. Since our grants are funded through the sale of mussel fee stickers, it is important for grantees to partner with DBW to educate freshwater boaters about the stickers. DBW has sample pull-up banners, sticker graphics, and social media post ideas, and others that we're going to see on the next screen. As promised, here are some outreach ideas. On the left, you'll see a recent booth that we used at the International Sportsman's Expo. Graphics for the tablecloth, the backdrop, and the pull-up banner are available for grantees to use and personalize. On the right, you'll see a Boat California Facebook platform post about the mussel fee paid sticker. And then in the lower left, you're going to hear a radio recording by California outdoorsman Sepp Hendrickson on behalf of our mussel fee program.
Attention all California boaters and water enthusiasts. Did you know that quagga and zebra mussels pose a serious threat to our waters and fisheries? All registered vessels operating in fresh water within the state are required to display mussel fee stickers to help prevent the spread of these invasive mussels. By following the regulations and obtaining your mussel fee sticker, you can play a crucial role in protecting our waterways from these harmful invaders. It's easy to get and it only costs $16 for 2 years, and you're helping to keep quagga and zebra mussels out of our lakes and reservoirs. Stickers can be purchased online at dmv.ca.gov/mussel fee or at your local DMV or AAA office. All freshwater boat owners must have the mussel fee stickers on their boats to operate legally on California's lakes and reservoirs. For more information, check out dmv.ca.gov/mussel fee. Let's all work together to keep California's waters clean and
When preparing your grant application, please don't reinvent the wheel. We have a lot of templates and sample documents. We try to make it easy for grantees. See all of the documents available below and on our website. Our webpage URL is shown at the end of this presentation where you can get these sample documents.
ALGA overview. By now you should have read the ALGA step-by-step instructions found on the QZ webpage about how to register and use the online grant application program. For general ALGA instructions, please refer to the ALGA instructional webinar as seen here on the screen on the DBW QZ website under application material. ALGA webinar notes. Regarding the ALGA instructional webinar, please keep the following items in mind. The ALGA webinar uses other DBW grants, not the QZ grant, as examples. Make sure that when you start an application, you select the QZ MIP grant program for the current year. The ALGA webinar shows Leticia Padilla as a contact for the QZ grant program. The current contact for the QZ grant program will be different. The last 5 minutes section of the ALGA webinar does not apply to the QZ grant program. The QZ Grant Award Notice and executed grant agreements are emailed. Notifications are not sent via Olga. The only email you will receive from Olga will be confirmation that your application was submitted. Olga reminders. Regarding the Olga instructional webinar, please keep the following items in mind. Please review each of the documents listed as they provide important information that you need to know while applying. Please remember to include any field which contains an asterisk. The blue box in the image, Show Documents, shows a link which will give you access to essential documents for the application process. The Save button can be found in the red box. Please remember to save your work often. The Show Tree button can be found in the green box. This will allow quick navigation through Olga pages you've already worked on. Do not use the forward or back button in the web browser to attempt to move through the Olga menus. Doing so will get you thrown out of the application and your work will be lost. Do this by using the navigation arrows located in the gold boxes. Olga Task Budget Details. The task budget is the tab shown here by the gold arrow on the screen. Please remember not to use words like etc. when filling out the budget information. We would like to see very specific details listed here in the budgets. Line item budget details. The gold arrow points to the line item budget tab. Please use the same descriptions in both the task budget and the line item budget. This concludes the Olga portion of the presentation. We will be sending an evaluation for follow-up soon. If you did not pre-register for this workshop, please send an email to the QZ team. We would like to communicate with you. Thank you for attending today. This concludes our 101 presentation. Our contact information is listed here on the screen.